What is good, people? And welcome to another episode of Real Talk with Marcus McCoy. I am so excited to be back. Want to throw this plug in here before we get started. Hey, tomorrow is election day. Do not play around. Get out there and cast your vote. No matter who you vote for, just go out and do your duty in voting. But today we have Marcus and Faith Smith. They're siblings who are entrepreneurs in fashion and in mental health. And we would like to welcome them to the show. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Y'all doing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Look, I gotta tell you backstory. Hey, I've been waiting on these two to get on. We had a conversation a couple months back. They are doing some outstanding things, paving their own lane. And I think it's important, man. We gotta give people their flowers while they're here. So I definitely want to give these two their flowers. But if you can go ahead and introduce yourselves and tell the listeners and the viewers a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Marcus Smith. I'm the oldest sibling. I have my bachelor's in clinical psychology, my master's in industrial psychology, a background in art. And we've been doing fashion for officially a little bit under 10 years, officially probably about 15 plus.
Is that on you, Faith?
Oh,
All right.
yeah, so,
I'm Faith Smith, and I was a teacher for 10 years, and then I transitioned into mental health. And so together we own our mental health case management business. And I'm obviously the younger sibling, and we've been doing fashion since about 2010, traveling, and yeah, that's about it.
Okay. So what's the ages? What's the age difference you guys got?
8 years.
Ooh,
So
he big brother for real.
almost a different decade, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because if you had to say it like 2 years, 2 years, 1 year, that ain't for you. He big bro for real, for real. All right. Look, how did you guys get into how did you both get into the fashion industry?
well, pretty much fashion is something I've done since I was a kid. Um, my mom, my aunt used to work in a store called Sizes back in the day. So she would babysit me all the time, so I'd be there. So I got kind of influenced by a lot of things I would see, like her trying to like different working with different women, clothes, buyers, stuff like that. So I got to see a lot of behind the scenes things. So I was always that kind of got me like the bite into fashion, and from there it was just like it just took off. I was always like a little kid dressing up in full suits and being on my own thing all the time. So it was like a fashion bug, got bit by it, and once that happened, it's like a Spider-Man kind of thing, fashionista, and that's what it was.
That's what's up. That's what's up. What about you, Faith?
Fashion wasn't really my thing. I just grew up around it. Like you said, our aunt was really into fashion. So when I was in elementary school, that's something that I was known for, was like my outfits, because I wore something different every day. But I'm into fashion because that was something that my brother was really passionate about. And he was like, I'm doing this, you're coming along. So here I am.
I like that. I like that. Got bit by a spider. Big brother said, "Come on, let's go." You was like, "I'm with it." I like it. I like it. So, gotta ask this question. So, for the both of you, who or what were your biggest influences growing up, and how have they shaped your style when it comes to fashion?
I get influenced from everywhere. I say culturally, I say period stuff. I grew up in Italy, so my sister was born in Italy, and I was pretty much by myself before she was born there. So I got to see a lot of things over there. So of course, I say like Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Fendi, stuff like that, because my mom was into that. So I got to see it, like, okay, cool. So that kind of got me a little bite in there. And then like before Paso, of course, originally from upstate New York. So that got me into like Carl Canai, Cross Colors, Major Damage, Maurice Malone, pretty much all the up and coming Black people that were doing fashion in the 90s, like pretty much starting it for all of us doing it now. So
Okay. What about you, Faith?
I would say my influences would be my brother. Like my fashion definitely came from him when he was like, I started wearing a lot of Gucci because that's what he pointed me toward. And he would be the one like, buy these things. These make you look good.
All right. Yeah, Coogee, that's like a New York staple right there.
oh, yeah.
I
And
bet
that was
you had
all my
I bet you
closet.
he had the Timbs on too, didn't it?
Oh, absolutely. All the colors, all the colors.
Hey, look, I'm already knowing. Look, you made me think about in the '90s, man. When you say the cross colors, remember Chris Cross had us wearing our pants to the back. Yeah, that was
Yes.
yeah, that was an era right there, man. Like you could be real. I mean, it was an era, a lot of expression going on back then, so to speak. So, do you remember the first piece you designed, and what was that experience like?
So I guess the first piece of design would be, I gotta say two things. I guess the first thing I'll say was the logo for Imperial Legacy, which was basically playing around with letters and set it up and seeing what was gonna work. And then it ended up becoming a logo. It was just something I did like on scratch at a job I was working at on break. And one of the homies came by, I was like, yo, like that right there, you need to put it on a t-shirt. And I was like, hey, you're right. And that's kind of how I went from there. First official piece though, with we have a harness bag that comes from back in the day in Italy. My dad had a soldier working for him that had a Gucci like harness on. I was like, yo, dad, I want one of those. He's like, yeah, I'm not gonna get that for you. It's too much. And I was like, all right, cool. So I make my own. So fast forward like 20 plus years later, the first thing I create from scratch is my own harness.
Okay, okay, that's what's up. Now, were you how involved in that process were you, Faith?
Oh, that was all him.
Yes,
When it comes to designing stuff, that's all him. I'm on the other end of it.
She
gotcha,
not telling
gotcha.
the whole truth. She gets input and stuff.
Input,
I
but
was
he's the
asking
one
her
that's
opinion to
making
see what makes
everything.
sense.
Tell the truth, Shane. Devil. Yeah, Faith is modest. I can tell.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Okay, all right, all right, all right. So, in the creative process, right? And I'm not gonna lie, a lot of this stuff I've been thinking about as I start following you both and like looking at the different trends of fashion, the clothing, uh, the type of fabric you use. Um, like walk us through like the creative process. Where do you usually like start at when you're gonna, design some or make a piece of clothing? Like what? Like what does that look like?
Well, I say it depends on my mood. So I get inspired by everything. So my process never stops. So I might make something today, but a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, I might take that same thing and completely redo it again. Because now I don't like it anymore and I want to add something to it. So nothing I start ever actually finishes. It's like an ongoing work of art. So I'm always adding, fine tuning, just things like that. As far as fabric wise, that depends. So if I want to update something that let's say came out like in the 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s, I'm always gonna go with something different. How can I take something and kind of refresh it? So now I look into like what fabrics that people usually know it for, and then what fabrics I can add into it to make it they know that extra like bang to it. You know what I mean? So just
Gotcha,
depends.
gotcha. So Faith, when he goes through that process and talks about the creativeness and things of that nature, on the other side, because like the business side of it, right? Like when he starts talking like that and he has great ideas, what goes through your head as you're processing from your standpoint?
I'm thinking about how I'm going to reel him in so that it's not so much. Because if he was allowed to, we would have like 100 collections. Like he's always creating. His mind is always running. So for me on the business end, it's kind of getting him to like reel it in. Like, all right, let's do 15 pieces and focus on this, and then we can always come back and do a series 2. Which is why you notice in some of our collections we have like series 1, 2, 3. It's because he's gone back and whatever he did originally, now he sees it differently and he wants to completely revamp it.
Gotcha, 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 gotcha. Now I know this definitely has to play a part in it, but I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Just ask for the sake of conversation. Culture. How much does that play a role in your clothing?
Culture is everything. It's the base. It's why we started the company. It's why we do what we do, pretty much. I definitely feel that because how fast-paced our society is today, a lot of people forget things, especially the youth. So I kind of like to remind people about things that came and went in different ways. You'll see that in our collections. You'll see stuff from like the 90s, 80s. You'll see like color combos. You'll be like, that reminds me of this. If you ask me, I'll be like, you got that right. Like we did something that was like a plaid kind of combination. One of the models actually asked me about it. He's like, hey, it reminds me of some polo from back in the day. I said, that's where it came from. So if you pay attention enough, you'll get those like social cues and different things from then to now kind of situation.
Okay, okay, that's dope. So I heard you both talk about mental health. So we got definitely dive into this part of the conversation because I feel like we definitely all have a responsibility to kind of be champions of this particular topic, right? So how do you incorporate mental health with your fashion? Is it separate or like just what are both of you all thoughts on that in general?
So I would say that we incorporate it, and it's also separate at the same time.
Okay.
So we have a collection called Feelings, and that collection was basically birthed from the old school kung fu movie called Five Deadly Venoms. So I
Okay.
flipped the Five Deadly Venoms to like five feelings. So it's five different color codes to match different feelings that people go through. And I felt that was the best way to kind of break the stigma and offer a mental health based collection that would speak to everybody without even them actually realizing it was actually mental health based.
Gotcha. What
So it's
about
like
you,
our
Faith?
version of like being in your feelings, like you're wearing your feelings and kind of making it okay to have a conversation about how you're feeling. Because COVID definitely shined a light on mental health and kind of made it more of a conversation that we're having, but still people don't like to talk about how they actually feel. So if your clothes are a representation of how you're feeling in that moment, then maybe it's a conversation we can have more regularly, more constantly.
That's dope. That's dope. And just to add to that, I also feel like, and I don't know if everybody feels this way. I'm talking about me in particular. So, for example, a lot of times I feel the way we feel is associated to like if we feel like we look like ourselves and we look good, right? You look good, you feel good, dress good, kind of like the Deion Sanders kind of frame of mind. I give an example. Every time I get a haircut, I don't know what it is about getting a haircut, but I just feel like I'm on cloud nine. Like I feel like I got a cape on my back. I could jump off a building. I just naturally feel better when I feel like my presence or how I appear is in the same frame of mode. And I also feel like through fashion, and you guys can speak to this again. You guys are in the industry. A lot of times I've been to different fashion shows and stuff like that, and you could just feel like the confidence in the people who are coming down the runway, modeling and stuff like that. I feel like it's a space where, in that particular instance, you get to exude the type of confidence that you have. What do you guys think about that?
I agree with
We
that.
agree. Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty much exactly how we feel about it. I mean, fashion has always been an outlet, and what we create is what I call conversation starters. Things that you're in the elevator with somebody, someone's gonna look at you and be like, "Hey, man, I like that color, I like that design, I like whatever." And then there you go, you have a conversation with someone you may have not talked to. I said, me, for example, I know I am not the most approachable person when people see me, even though I'm actually nice, but you assume what you want. But those kind of things where people bring up conversation with me. I have people talk to me that if it wasn't for something I had on, they probably would never even come that close. But I'm like, cool, and we'll have a whole conversation with something. So I mean, fashion gives you that confidence. It should make you feel the best you can feel when you put that fresh on shirt, suit, full outfit, shoes, whatever it is. That kind of like gives you that boost. So yeah.
Guys, did you want to add to that, Faith?
Oh, just when you feel good, when you look good, you feel good. And when we are putting together our runways, we're one of the few designers that don't really tell our models they need to walk a specific way. We tell them just to like feel the music and be themselves. And that's something that we love about our runways, that we're giving everybody the opportunity just to like be themselves and embrace themselves with whatever walk they feel they do best.
It's dope. It's dope. Hey, look, if you are in the business, you know what I'm saying? If you want to put your boy in the game on one of these fashion shows, I was just saying, look, never done it before, but I would definitely be glad to explore it with man, such great people like you two. I would like to see what that's like. I don't know my walk game like, it's gonna be regular, it's not gonna be no extra. I'm gonna walk like I normally walk, but if y'all let me, hey, sign your boy up.
It takes practice sometimes, but most people is a natural, and you got an open invitation as far as we go.
I
So next time you
appreciate
got
that.
something
Yes,
going on,
definitely.
we're gonna say something to you. Come on through.
Bet. I appreciate it. Hey, look, people, y'all heard it. So look, hey, you see me out there, you know what I'm saying? That thing strutting. I'm just saying. You heard it here first. Now, probably the most interesting question to me out of this whole entire conversation. What is it like to be siblings and be in business together at the same time?
It's challenging and rewarding. It's challenging and rewarding because this is your family, right?
Mhm.
So the things, the issues that you guys have are a little bit deeper than it would be just for business.
All right.
But it's rewarding because you're sharing some of the biggest moments in your life with one of the most important people in your life. So we've been through some of the toughest situations, but some of the best situations together. And it's only helped to strengthen our relationship.
You agree with that, Marcus?
I definitely agree. Like I said, when I brought my sister into this, the whole reason was like, yeah, I could be famous or I could be rich or whatever, successful. But if my family's not successful too, then like, what's the point? So if I can set up something, start something that's gonna help us both make that, that generational wealth that will influence, our family from decades to come, then that's what we're gonna do. So I mean, we're working together. Of course, there's challenges, ups and downs. We are still siblings, and even though we're business partners, but the challenges kind of make us better people because it forces us to learn quick, get over things, get back on track, and focus and make those moves that we have to make.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then, on top of that, when we think about wealth, especially like kind of in the context you both put it in, it's not just necessarily about money. It's about legacy. Some things, I tell people all the time, don't get me wrong, money is great. I like money like everybody else, right? But there's some things like you just talked about, like the experience to be able to, like the highest level to be experienced with your brother and vice versa. Like you can't fabricate moments like that. You can't buy moments like that. So I definitely think that's dope. But one of those moments had to be New York Fashion Week. Let's jump into that. How many times have you both been in New York Fashion Week, and what is that experience like?
Oh, um, at least 8.
Oh wow.
I want to say we've gone for the fall and we've gone for the spring. And when we first started, I was super and like he gives me the space to be ambitious, the same way I
Mhm.
give him the space to be very creative. So our first year at New York Fashion Week, I think we did like 5 shows.
Oh wow.
we were all we were all over the place. The second year, we did like 6 shows and a photo shoot. He was mad, but it all came out great. It worked out. So every time we go to New York, it's an experience. It's exhilarating, and one of the rewarding things about it, other than us being able to do it together, is being able to like bring along like our models from the city that have been with us since we started when we weren't even really thinking about New York, and being able to share those moments with them too.
It's dope. It's dope. What you got, Marcus?
I agree with her. I mean, yeah, she was the first couple of times she was doing way too much. She was all over the city, dragging all these things around. She don't want to carry nothing. I'm like, but
Such
it turned out at the end good. I mean, I love New York Fashion Week. Only thing about it is like, and I told people ask me all the time, like, it's crazy because you work anywhere from 6 months to a year building up a concept, but it's done in an hour. So all that
Mhm.
work, you see it flesh out in an hour, then you're back to regular again. And all the
Mhm.
build up and all the stress and anxiety comes along with it, but 1 hour and that's it. You might have
it's
after
kind of like
party
a
if
wedding.
so, but that's it.
What you
But
had,
it's a
Faye?
good experience, something that really opens you up to everything. So
Yeah.
I said it's kind of like a wedding, like the same way you put in like all that time and energy and months of work. It's the same thing for Fashion Week, and then it's over like that. And this year we did a private. This was our second time doing a private show all on our own, and it's even more work than just being a part of somebody else's show. But it's very rewarding when you see like your ideas and all your hard work coming together, and you see like the reaction from the audience. Like for my brother, when he makes the mixes for the runway, that's like basically his love letter to his collection. So every time we hit the runway, it's an experience. And that's, we like our shows to be like an experience. You come here and whatever you saw the last time, that's not what you're going to see this time.
That's dope. I think a lot of times people don't understand there's a lot of psychology that goes into like the all these different things, the design, the build up, uh being creative. I think a lot of times people just think, you kind of taking shots in the dark, so to speak, and it happens. There's a process to a lot of this stuff. And I think people just need to I think that's one of the things that makes me, it's almost like if I took fashion and put it in the concept of being a sport, right? Athletes, work out, do all this type of stuff to try to get to the pinnacle of their particular sport. for you both, it's the same premise. It's all this behind the scene work, the grinding, the innovation, the thought process, the creativeness that goes into it. Like you said, for it to be like a wedding, you did all that, or that's like a track. Somebody in the track, they practice all year long to run 10 seconds and then game over with. So I definitely think that's a dope concept because I think people need to hear it because again, especially people like me on the outside that are not in the industry, just understanding that there are so many intangible things that go into making all this stuff happen. So, how do you keep your designs fresh, especially knowing that the industry is constantly changing, it's constantly evolving?
Okay. So I was thinking about that. So I guess the best way for me to answer is DMX had a quote back in the day he said about his music and asked him what's his influences for his music. And he said there is none. He doesn't believe in listening to other people because it will influence his music. And I'm the
Mm-hmm.
same way when it comes to fashion. So when I'm designing something, it's completely whatever vibe I feel because I don't want to have something similar to anybody else. And like right now, like I had just finished up a collection I had to toss out because I saw someone had something similar, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna do this anymore. Cause I'd rather be original than be anything similar to anybody else. That's one of the main things I focus on. I have to be myself, and it has to be what we're putting out that's completely based on something that we come up with, not based on anybody else's concept, whatsoever.
Okay. Now, what are some of the biggest challenges you both have faced in this particular industry?
I think in the beginning, just kind of not being received, like people not understanding our message or our fashion and exactly like where we were coming from. So in the beginning, we were met with like a this is too loud, this is too much, like where's the muted stuff at? And then we kept going either way because we saw the vision. And when we went to New York for the first time and we were so embraced, like the things that we were told were too loud, we're like, oh my God, this is like, you can do this. Are you making your own prints? Like, are you doing your own textiles? It was like night and day. So I think that was one of our biggest challenges, just like being accepted for what we were creating, people understanding it.
What you got, Marcus?
Back off my sister. I mean, she's right. It's the biggest challenge I would say is support. I mean, you have to stay focused no matter what, and you have to kind of get this undying want to be successful regardless of what everyone else feels. And sometimes that's like the psychology of that is a lot because you're gonna have people tell you that they don't like your stuff. They don't think supposed to be there. You can't do that. Or you're gonna have doors you think should open that close instead. So you have to be focused on what you want. So I say that had to be the biggest thing is being able to stay positive about the journey and not let people deter you from the path.
Absolutely. We definitely, at the end of the day, we definitely got to bet on ourselves. I say this all the time, and if nobody else, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else is going to believe in you. And a lot of times, it's just got to be your own faith. I tell people, you have people like you said, you both said that there were, you had this vision, and maybe everybody wasn't on board with it. But I'm also understanding too, especially as I get older and older, that your vision isn't going to be for everybody, and that's cool, right? Maybe they catch it, in the 50th book that you wrote later on. But you just got to be a avid supporter of yourself. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And on support, right? I'm gonna double back, right? We was having a conversation off air, and then we talked about, and again, it's the same thing for me. Sometimes the lack of support when it comes to promoting your product services. People sometimes, you got a lot of people that say, "Hey, rocking with you," but then they won't even share or like. A like is you just hit the button, people. That's all you do. A share, you just hit the button. It takes really no effort. So what do you got? What do you both think about that in terms of like either receiving some support or lack thereof?
I'd say support's always decent, but I'd always love more. Uh, I feel like the type of community we have to support each other in order for us to be better because that goes back to our youth, so they can see, that that support and want to support as well, and know that they would have the same kind of support if they got into that same kind of industry. And that's one of the biggest things I feel like the city lacks is we don't support as much as we could. So
I agree. Just it's simple, like you said, a like or a share, and I feel like that support for the youth too, seeing like people that look like them out here doing what we're doing. And like when I go back to, I went to Andrews High School and then I taught there. So whenever I go back up there and the kids see me, they're like, oh my God, you're like a celebrity and look at all the things that you're doing. And it's okay that you're not teaching anymore because we see you, you inspire us. And the teachers say the same thing. And I feel like that support, you're sharing like a positive story, and we don't share enough positive things. There's a lot of negative in the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, random question. If you could go back, both of you, I'm gonna say Mark's in his 40s, so I'm gonna go back 20 years for both of y'all. If you could go back 20 years, knowing where you are at right now, what would you tell yourself back then, right now?
so for me, I would just have my I should just have my oldest son. And I would have told myself to stop being lazy, get with it, man. We can make it happen now. Don't wait 5, 6, 7 years, do it now. Just because you have a son, don't wait another year or two to get refocused. Focus now, get it moving.
I think I would have been a junior in high school. So I would have told myself just like believe in yourself more, and your voice deserves to be heard.
That's dope. That's dope. So I gotta bring this up real fast because I don't want to get beat up by somebody who will remain nameless. Could we go ahead and bring ways to donate to the channel up on the screen for a second, if you will? Yeah, there's information if you want to donate to the channel. It will be greatly appreciated. That's how we fund this place or this operation. You can see up there on the screen, Zelle, Cash App. We greatly appreciate it if you could support the channel. All right, we could take it down. That was my promo for the time frame. I didn't want to get didn't want to get beat up by you. Both of y'all know who I'm talking about, but I didn't want little Ike Turner Jr. to be coming after me, so I want to get that out there. But uh, as we get out of here, I first of all want to thank you both for coming on. It was great. I'm gonna hold you to this. I'm gonna say it on screen because you don't have no choice but to say yes because you're on the screen. But you gotta come back.
Yes.
Okay. All right. For sure. For sure. All right. So, what are your final thoughts that you both want to leave the listeners with?
Okay. Well, I want to say, oh yeah, can I give a shout out? That's all right too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Wanna, I want to say, I want to give a special shout out to my pops, man, because I definitely wouldn't be here if he didn't support us the way he does and always have our back. My mom also, fiance Jessica Ashmore, because she supports 100%. And my kids, being a father is important, and it motivates me all the time. So even on them bad times, being a dad and knowing that what I do motivates my children to know that they can do whatever they want. That's a big deal for me. But as far as the people, I should say focus. There's gonna be lots of people to tell you can't do something and it's not for you. But if that's what you feel in your heart, that's what you're supposed to do, then you got to go with it. Sacrifice is a part of the game, and it's not gonna always be sunshine. But if you stay with it, keep focused, you'll make it where you're trying to get to.
I guess I just to piggyback off of what he said, just to stay positive, stay focused, and to not give up because you're definitely going to endure a lot of challenges on the road of being an entrepreneur, and you're going to hear more no's than you hear yeses. But when you finally do get that yes, it'll be worth everything that you went through. And I feel like one of the things that us being together has been, it makes those no's a little bit harder, a little bit easier to digest because we have each other. And so we are able to like build each other up. So just keep going and don't forget your vision.
Absolutely. So I want to say, keep dreaming and definitely stay on the hunt and pursue those dreams. I invite you all to tune in to the next episode of Real Talk with Marcus McCoy. But until then, El Paso, it's been real.